नमस्कार। आप सबका भारत एक बरगद चैनल के नेक्स्ट वीडियो में आप सबका स्वागत है। जैसा कि मैंने पहले कहा था मेरे पिछले वीडियो में कि ये जो नेक्स्ट वीडियो जो होगा ये थोड़ा सा कंट्रोवर्शियल हो सकता है और शायद मेरा मकसद किसी को ऑफेंड करना नहीं है। ये सिर्फ मेरी नॉलेज है, मैं अपने नॉलेज गेन करके रिसर्च करके मैं आपको बताता हूँ। तो आज लेट अस स्टार्ट विद दिस वीडियो। द टाइटल ऑफ दिस वीडियो is Spread of Modern Religion. So far in my previous videos you have seen from the why I started this channel, and then what was the history of the word, and then what was the history of the religion, and how the religion started and all those things. Today we will talk about how the religion spreads in the world, like how it has been spread and what are the future method that any religion can spread further from time onwards, from now onwards. So let us start with the spread of religion, how the religion has been spread for so long and what were the method. So I wanted to divide this spread history in two method. One is called old method and the next one we talk about new method. So how any religion, it doesn't matter which religion it is, any religion which spreads, there are old methods. Now what are the old methods that religion has spread so far? Number one is holy war, then the forced conversion, then terror, then spread of lifestyle, spread of culture, and spread of principles and doctrine. These are the old method of spread of religion. Now what are the new method that just in context of modern world and modern technology and modernization, what would be the new methods that religion will spread now onwards? You can make your own assumption, but this is my assumption, how from here onwards, how the religion is going to spread from now onwards. Okay, so these are the new method of spread. We call it public speeches, religious leaders and scholars speeches, TV, movies, soft target, videos, online chat that includes social media, websites, mobile app, and the last two option which religion will spread in future, they are not very effective method, but some religion use these two methods. Now I don't agree with these two methods, last two methods, but this is what the whole world is tipping towards that. The first one, the last but one is bribing. You can see depends upon which population you are targeting, because in modern world the democratic process of any country depends upon it is unfortunate, but this is true, that democratic setup in country depends upon numbers. It doesn't matter whether you are a PhD or MD or engineer, doctor scholars, researchers, and if you are a common man, if you are a poor man, if you are a homeless person, if anybody is not doing anything, the only thing which counts in democratic world is the numbers. Each number, each person has a value as a voter. Vote. So it doesn't matter who you are, the value of you is one vote. Whether you are a poor or you are a king. Anybody in between these, each of these people have one number. So it's a number game. If you want to govern a country or a state, you should have a higher number. That's what the whole thing is. So the bribing is number one. You can bribe people to get more people to your sides. And the last but the least, which is not very, very effective method of spread of religion, although few religion, just very few, you can count on numbers and you can assume they believe on this kind of method to spread the religion, and that is called terror or terrorism. Unfortunately, some communities, some organization, even some country do this, but it's not a very effective method. Ultimately, things get out of control and they go back to their own way. So that is called the new method. So from here onwards, I'm going to go ahead and start looking at different religion, how they have spread. Now from this onwards, my choice is not to pinpoint bad things or good thing of any religion. Today's video is only, and please accept this, it is only for spread of religion. That what I have researched, what I have found from the media and from knowledge base online or offline or books or talking to different people, discussions and speeches, this is what we have figured out, how the major religion of the world, how they have spread so far. So the first thing, I want to start first thing from Islam, how the Islam spread. Now in this context, I will talk in two terms. One is how the religion spreads in the world, and then how the religion got its footholds in India, how it spreads in Indian subcontinent. So we will talk about every religion in terms of how it spreads. One is in the world, and second one is in the state or in the country. Especially for me, I will discuss mostly of the world and then India. So let us start first with Islam. Now, the expansion or the spread of Islam is little bit complicated, and it's ups and downs and bumps and plain field, you know. So it's like a rough road. So first thing I wanted to start with this is the Islam started from what we call it Prophet Muhammad. So his lifespan was from 570 to 632 AD, and in his lifetime, the expansion, he was also responsible for expansion of his religion, but that was only restricted to the Arabian Peninsula, not beyond that, just in Arabian Peninsula. And you can see mostly Makkah, Medina, Arabia, maybe a little bit north of Arabia. So that was for the expansion for Mr. Prophet Muhammad. Now, after Prophet Muhammad, the next step comes, we call it spread of Islam, is by Caliphate rule. Now, Caliphate, I want to just a quick my personal experience. In my childhood, we used to go to schools, especially I was in third, fourth, or fifth grade. I have very faint knowledge that at that time in my classes, we had a lot of people there. And as you know, that in each class, you will find some good friend, some kuch bad friend, and also some kuch influential friends that they were controlling the class, not in the class when the teacher is there, but when you are in a playground, or when you are playing some games or something, or you're just rolling around. And that time, one or two people in the class, they used to control everybody in the class. And they used to snatch your pencil, or snatch your copy, or snatch your rubber, or they tried to bully you or to pull you down. We used to, if somebody is going to challenge them, we used to ask them, oh, अपने आप को खलीफा समझते हो क्या? खलीफा हो तुम? In those days, I didn't mean what Khalifa means. I thought that Khalifa only means top influential person, controlling everything, good or bad, whatever. So later on, I learned this. It is not Khalifa. We call it in our language Khalifa. In English, it is called Caliphate or just Caliph. So that's where the Khalifa word came, and now we call it Caliphate. So I will restrict here my knowledge with Caliphate. So after Mr. Prophet Muhammad, after 632, the whole Islamic history is divided into caliphates, you know. So I will start by one. So the first thing comes is first caliphate. Immediately after the death of Prophet Muhammad, there was a power fight going on. Who will be the next successor? Whether it is going to be one of the member from the Muhammad family, or it is one of the member from the Prophet Muhammad's community, that who was leader or who was most influential person in the community, who was very attached to Mr. Muhammad or Prophet Muhammad, that will be the next successor. So there was a power fight going on, but finally we see that after Muhammad, the first caliphate, there are four caliphs in this first caliphate. So first one is called, we call it Rashidun Caliphate, which was the first caliphate to succeed the Prophet Muhammad, and that was the first caliphate. They are called Rashidun Caliphate. There are four members in that. The first one is called Abu Bakr. He was the first caliphate of the Rashidun Caliphate family, and he didn't last long. He became caliphate in 632 after the death of Mr. Muhammad, and then by the time 634 he passed away, he died. Nobody knows what happened, but it was documented that he died because of high fever and high fever sickness. So that was his time. In those 2 years of time, he was responsible for expansion of Islam from Persia to Syria. So these were the two areas. And you will see from this onward that after the death of Prophet Muhammad, the Islam spreads very rapidly. And by the time 300-400 more, it has spread whatever, most of the area that you see now. That's what the time that Islam has already spread at that pace. So, but let us go slowly. So the Abu Bakr was responsible for expansion to Persia and Syria. After that, the next caliphate came Mr. Umar. His time period was 634 to 644, and unfortunately he was assassinated by some Persian, some Muslim somebody from Persia, in response to the victory of Muslims over the Persia, somebody from Persia has assassinated Mr. Umar. But his expansion, his expansion was Islam from all to the Middle East and Egypt. So that far, Mr. Umar has expanded his religion. Then after that, Umar, the next person came Mr. Uthman. He was from 644 to 656. The good part of Mr. Uthman, that why he's famous, because we think that he was the first one who did the final compilation of the Quran. But the irony is this, that he has a very bad ending. He was assassinated when his house was seized, and the people came to his house in his home, and they assassinated him while he was reading his own Quran, which he compiled. So it was unfortunate again for Mr. Uthman that he was assassinated, but he expanded the Islam religion from North Africa to Byzantines area. That was the area where he expanded the expansion. Now, after that, this last one in Rashidun Caliphate was Mr. Ali ibn Talib. Now, Ali has to wait 3 caliphs to become a caliph, because this Ali is from the family of the Muhammad. So the Ali came after that. It's called Ali Talib, and he was from 656 to 666. He was husband of Miss Fatima, the Muhammad, the daughter. The bad thing happens to Mr. Ali that he was assassinated during the Fajr prayer in the great mosque of Kufa. That it was unfortunate. The story goes like this, that he was going to do a Fajr namaz, and he saw one person was lying down on the floor on his tummy. So he asked him, "What are you doing here? What do you want to do?" He said, "I just came here to offer my prayer to get forgiveness from Allah, because what I am going to do is a very bad things I have done, and I will do very bad things. So I want to just came to get his apology." So after that, both started doing prayer, and as soon as Mr. Ali bent down to offer prayer, this person pulled out the sword and sliced the head of Mr. Ali. So, and it was the Fajr namaz prayer at the time of Fajr, that is the first namaz in the morning, early in the morning, like 4 o'clock or something. So that was this Mr. Ali. After that, his son, Ali's son, Hussein Ali, assumed caliphate only for a very short time. The big problem with Mr. Hussein was that he wanted to go and fight with that caliphate of his time, but he was caught up in a battle of Karbala. We all know that, the battle of Karbala, where he was killed by then caliphate called Umayyad Caliphate. So Umayyad Caliphate was the time, in that time, Umayyad Caliphate time, that he was killed. So now comes the next caliphate period, which is called Umayyad Caliphate. That was from 661 to 750. Overall, there were 14 caliphates, but few of them are important. All of them were not important. Some of them were important, like Yazid was very important in that time. But anyway, it was the second period of caliphate in Umayyad Caliphate. The expansion of this time is very important, that it was the first caliphate time that this caliphate period attacks on the province of Sindh, which is now in Pakistan. And so they conquest eastern Russia, Sindh province, northwest of Africa, and major area of Spain and Portugal. These were the expansion in the time of Umayyad Caliphate, 661 to 750. After that, the next caliphate time came, called Abbasid Caliphate. This was a very important caliphate. Whatever modern area that you see under Islamic ruler now is happened during this time, and which is called Abbasid Caliphate. It is also called the golden age of the Abbasid Caliphate. It is a long-lasting caliphate from 750 to 1258. It was the longest one. After that, the last caliphate during that time was Mamluk Sultanate. The Mamluk Sultanate during Crusade from 1258 to 13th century. At this time, the caliphate was Mamluk Sultanate Caliphate, and then there was later caliphates after that. They are called Ottoman Empire. Later caliphates from 1299 all the way to 1922, immediately after the First World War. During the World War and before the World War, there was a big empire called Ottoman Empire, but the Ottoman Empire ceased to exist after the First World War. By the time 1922, Ottoman Empire was finished. So, but the Ottoman Empire during that time, it was a very long empire from 1299 to 1922. They have controlled much of the Southeast Europe, Western Asia, and Northern Africa. All of these areas was covered by Ottoman Empire. Now I wanted to talk about, so that was how that thing spread all over the world. Now I will talk about the spread of Islam in the Indian subcontinent, how it spreads in Indian subcontinent. The Arabia and India, they were having trade long time before Muhammad. That is called pre-Islamic period. We have there are many documentation of trade between Saudi Arabia and India and the western coast of southern part of India, Malabar Hills and Cochin area. Those were the areas where there was the trade. But something happened. Not only that, the first masjid in India is at the coastal of town in the Kerala around 620. And during the time of Prophet Muhammad, they had a first masjid because they were doing trade, and the Arabian people wants to do prayer. That's why they built that masjid, and it is still there. And so what happened after that, the documentation first attack that happened on Indian subcontinent was around 700 AD. It was during the time of Umayyad Caliphate, and at that time the king of Sindh, where the attack happens, was Indian. The last Indian king was Raja Dahir. Raja Dahir tried to resist the attack at that time, but Raja Dahir was killed in the battle, and the governor or person who started doing the army was under the control of Muhammad bin Qasim. He was 17 years old, and the Umayyad Caliphate, I think Mr. Yazid was the caliphate at that time, and he said that please go and attack on Sindh, the Raja Dahir. Raja Dahir was portrayed as a very polite and honest person, and he gave shelter to Mr. Muhammad family, Hussein and other person, but ultimately he was killed, and Hussein left for Arabia. So that was the thing. So Muhammad bin Qasim, when he attacked Sindh, he was hardly 17 years old, and he killed Raja Dahir. Now, this history, everybody knows this history, but I was trying to figure out why, what make Umayyad Caliphate period, Mr. Yazid, he was the caliphate at this time, to attack on Sindh, especially Raja Dahir. What was the reason? Why he did that? From there to this area, it's a very distant place. Why Mr. Yazid Caliphate want to attack Raja Dahir province in Sindh? It doesn't make sense to me, so I tried to figure out why it happened. During the research, I found out that why it happens because the Raja Dahir kingdom was blamed for three things mainly. Three reasons I found that why the Umayyad Caliphate, Mr. Yazid, sent Muhammad bin Qasim to Sindh an attack. The reason, the blaming game, was that during the time of this Raja Dahir kingdom, they had a pirate activity. From Sindh, they had a pirating activity in the Arabian Sea or in the sea route from Ceylon to Arabia, because there were ships who were going from Ceylon to Arabia, and they were transporting water, and also the women and children of those who are killed in the battle, the Muslim women and Muslim children, they were also being transported in the ship from Ceylon to Arabia. And also this Raja Dahir also they also capture some of the rebels from Arabia, and when the Yazid asked them to release, Raja Dahir refused to release them. So pirating activity, pirating the ship, and compounding the women and children of the Muslims, those who were killed in the battle in Ceylon, and they were being transported to the Arabia. So Raja Dahir kingdom, they are blamed for this. Now, then why there was so much anger on Raja Dahir from Yazid or from Muhammad bin Qasim? I mean, it was in the kingdom of Raja Dahir. He might have a knowledge or he may not have a knowledge. We don't know. But it is a thing that whatever happened in any of the kingdom is responsibility of the king. So I hope that was the reason for that. But after bin Qasim, he left, after he attacked on Sindh, then he left and he went back to his country, and he did not come back. to attack again. So there was no Muslim permanent settlement after Muhammad bin Qasim. That was period. Then in India something happens much later, from 971 to 10,030. At that time Mahmud Ghazni, we all know about this, Mahmud Ghazni attacked India, and he came around 10,000 and he invaded 17 times. That includes the Konark temple in Gujarat. Even then, even after him, no Muslim permanent settlement happened this time. The permanent settlement started happening in India at the time of Muhammad Ghori, from 1186 to 1286. Muhammad Ghori, had a repeated attack on Prithviraj Chauhan, finally defeated by Muhammad Ghori with the help of Mr. Jaichand. We all know about this, and he was assassinated. And this Muhammad Ghori, when he was going back to Ghazni in Afghanistan, during that time, as he was going back to Afghanistan, he was assassinated by his own people. So that's the history that we know. After Muhammad Ghori, before Muhammad Ghori left for Afghanistan, he appointed one of his slaves to govern the conquered part of India at that time, and that slave, his name was Qutubuddin Aibak. From his name, we see that there is a slave dynasty in India which started from 1206 to 1290, and Qutubuddin Aibak is the person who was ruling India, and that was called Delhi Sultanate. So he was a slave which was appointed by Muhammad Ghori to take care of Indian area where it was. And then after that, his son Altamish is son-in-law of Qutubuddin Aibak. He also ruled India from 1210 to 1236. After that, just for a short period, his daughter Razia Sultan ruled for she was the first Muslim ruler, a woman Muslim ruler, to rule India at that time, 1236 to 1239. At this time, the expansion of India was from whole, in the slave dynasty, the whole North India and the Delhi Sultanate, all this thing area was conquered by Muslims. After that, 1290, Khilji came. His name was Alauddin Khilji. He got the throne after killing his father-in-law Jalaluddin Khilji. And all I can say is that if you want to know more about this kind of dynasty, watch the movie Padmavat, and you will know most of the history about this. The people say that Alauddin Khilji was a very cruel ruler, and he put a jizya tax on the non-Muslim, but he also was responsible for land measurement and land reforms, and he repels the Mongols from invading India for many years. But the expansion of Muslims or Islam during this time is from whole North India and Delhi Sultanate. That was the time where the spread was there. Then short time we come Tughlaq. Tughlaq dynasty from 1230 to 1414. I mean 12th century to 14th century was Mr. Tughlaq. Two people are most important in this Tughlaq, which is one is called Muhammad Tughlaq, and the other one is Firoz Shah Tughlaq. Firoz Shah Tughlaq was the second one. He was a peace-loving ruler, but Muhammad Tughlaq was a little bit of a problem because he was ruling, but the thing he did was very different. People say that in his time he moved his capital from Delhi to southern part of India in Maharashtra. In those days it was called Daulatabad in south part of India. So he's trying to move his capital from one place to other place in Daulatabad, and people say that he ordered everybody to move from Delhi to Daulatabad. Only two creatures were left. One was the lamb person and the other one was dog or cat or something. That's what historians say. This kind of action, I remember that moving one capital from one capital to the other and making a new capital, same thing happens thousands of years back at the time of Egyptian civilization, around about 1300 BC. The king was Akhenaten. He's the same Akhenaten who is the wife of Nefertiti, the most beautiful lady in the ancient world. And this is the bust of that Nefertiti. That's why I put it here, so just to give you some idea. Akhenaten also did the same thing. He moved his capital from Thebes to Amarna. I mean, long place. And he made a new capital there, new building, everything. And then he moved all the population from his Thebes capital to there. Everybody he ordered to move, everybody. He destroyed all the old temples because he started a new religion, which is called monotheistic religion, which is called Aten. He was worshipping the Aten, sun god. So he moved everybody and he made a new capital. And he ordered everybody to move. Those who cannot move, the priest or anybody, he killed all of them. So this was like a comparable history kind of thing. So after 14th century, around about, we come to the Lodi Dynasty. Two people are mentioned here. One is Sikandar Lodi, who started the Lodi Dynasty, and the second one was Abraham Lodi. At that time, same thing, the expansion was from whole northern India and Delhi Sultanate. Abraham Lodi is the same person who was defeated by Babur when the Babur came from Afghanistan, and he established Mughal Empire, which is called Mughal rule from 1526. Why Babur? Babur has a very small army, but what made him to defeat the big army of Abraham Lodi and got victory? Because at that time Babur had something which Abraham Lodi's army did not have. He had cannon and dynamite. So at that time, when he started using them, all the elephants and horses and everyone, they got scared, they ran away, and Abraham Lodi lost, he was killed. So the Mughal ruler came and they started ruling the India. So the Mughal rule started, and we have lot of people under Mughal rule. I don't want to go into detail of these people. You all know this. Babur, Humayun. Short time in the Humayun time, there was a Sher Shah Suri dynasty. Fortunately, he was killed very shortly. He died. Then comes Humayun again. Then after Humayun, Akbar. Then after Akbar, Jahangir. After Jahangir, Shah Jahan. You know that. Then Aurangzeb. All I can say in Aurangzeb, the most important thing to remember is that before Aurangzeb, in Muslim world, the punishment, the criminal punishment was an eye for an eye and tooth for a tooth. We all know that. But there was no written record. So the Aurangzeb compiled the Muslim law, which is called Muslim personal law, or in their word it is called Sharia. Sharia is a Muslim law, and that Sharia is written by Aurangzeb in the name of Fatwa-e Alamgiri. So remember this name, Fatwa Alamgiri, which is the nothing, just the written Muslim law, which is called Sharia. And the expansion of Mughal empire is stretched from Indus Basin, Indian River Basin to north of Afghanistan, then to northwest of Kashmir, Bangladesh, east and upper region of South India. All these areas was under Mughal rule. The last Mughal rule we have is Bahadur Shah Zafar. His time period ended in 1857. 1857, you remember, this is the time that there was a big revolt in India against British Raj. So that started from 1857. So that was and I'm stopping here for Indian subcontinent, although I wanted to cover, but it's going to be too big for this topic for expansion for Islam in India. I will take up that chapter later sometime in another video. Then we will talk about British Raj in India. So we'll talk about that later. But now let us see what is the current status after the spread of Islam for all these times. World statistics shows that there are 1.8 billion people, which is the second largest religion in the world. It's called Islam. About 90% live in this top 5 country, and I'm giving you the name: Indonesia, Pakistan, India, and Bangladesh, and Nigeria. These are the main country where almost 90% people live. Now, 95% of all the Muslims in the world, 95% are converted from their own religion to Islam. And there are many reasons of conversion, I said in the beginning. So this is the expansion of Islam. Now we go to the spread of Christianity. This is the Christianity emerged from Judaism, that is from Jews. So Judaism is responsible for offshoot of Christianity, and also Islam also came from Judaism. So this Judaism in the 1st century AD, at that time there was a Roman law and Greek culture. So that time they spread of that started the Christianity. And the spread in the early time, there were 12 people. Those are called apostolic. So they were doing missionary activities, apostle, to spread the Christianity. These are the same 12 people when there was a last supper, when Jesus had a last supper with bread and I think wine. This was the last supper with 12 people. Those are called apostles, as per Gospel of Matthew, that they spread the religion. So this was the main. Then after that, during that time, 1st century AD, 120 believers of the Christianity, they had a meeting in the upper room, which is called, then they made just before the Last Supper, before the crucifixion, which is called the upper room. Then the Roman constructed a church after that. So at this present time, there is a church in the upper room. So what happened that Christianity actually split very early from the Jews. They split by the time in the 1st century. By the time in the beginning of 2nd century, by 132, the Christianity becomes separate from Judaism. That's what happened. And by this time, crucifixion has happened, the resurrection has happened, and missionary activities are going on. So that's where the Christian, the Christian religion was spread. Now, during the time of 200 to 300 AD, it spreads to Mediterranean and part of the Rome, and 10% of the Roman population become Christian. By the time 300 and 350 AD, Roman Emperor Constantine baptized as a Christian, and Roman Empire became Christian Empire, so Roman Empire finished by 350. Now, around 600 AD, all Middle East, most of the Europe and upper east of the Africa were all populated by Christians. So in 600 AD, this was the area, remember, all Middle East, most Europe, north and upper south of Africa populated by Christian. Now, one thing is important here. 600 AD. By 632, Prophet Muhammad was born, like 5 something. So in this time, Prophet Muhammad was there. So there was a clash between Christianity and Islam, just to start like that, around this time. Let us come to India, how Christianity spreads in India. Christianity arrived along the southern Indian Malabar coast via apostle named Thomas. Thomas is the same, one of the 12 apostles from the time of Jesus. So he, Muhammad, the Thomas, and their follower came to India at that time, 1552 AD, long time back. Thomas visited only the northwest of India. Christian tribes in northwest region of India, which is mostly Christian, converted by Thomas. So most of the Christian in northeast, northwest of India is Christian converted by Thomas. Now, while we talk about Christianity, there are few things which is very important in Christian, which is they are responsible for crusade. Crusades, that happens from 1095 to 1291, almost 1291, so like 300 years, something like that. And there were 8 crusades. I will not go into too much detail of these crusades, but these are the policy of Christianity and Islam to spread their rule all over the area. The basic nucleus point for this holy war was that there was a holy city called Jerusalem, and the control of that town, that city, because there was a fight going on between 3 people, 3 religions, Islam, Christianity and Jews. So Islam, Christianity and Jews, they were fighting for this very holy city. And during this time of crusade, it was attack of Christians as per direction of the church and ministers and those things. They were persuading the Christian kings of the country to attack on Jerusalem and regain the city, which was their own before. So there was multiple attacks. Sometimes Christian wins, sometimes Muslim wins, and there were 8 crusades. Finally, when there was a final crusade, ultimately the Christian lost, Islam wins, and even today that Jerusalem is still a point of conflict between these religions still, and there is still a problem with the peace in the city of Jerusalem even today. So let us see how things turn out future. So that was called crusade. And after that, I will talk about something, how it spreads in different part of the world. Christianity in North America, that started from 1600 to 1700. Majority, more than 90% of the North American Christians are Protestant. This is another sect of Christianity. One is called Catholic, other one is called Protestant. I will talk about little bit about this when I will discuss about religion in my next video, but this time I just keep going like this, only for this. Then in Christianity in South America, mostly this type of Christianity in South America happens because of military rule or military war between the European military personnel that was enforced by a new government that took over the Latin America. So it is the government which enforced the Christianity on the Latin American people. That's one thing. There is one important thing to mention at this time is that there was an explorer in some time back in around 13th century. His name was Amerigo Vespucci. He was an Italian merchant and he was an explorer, and he navigated the south part of America and some of the north part of America. But it is his name that the name America has been derived. So we call it America because of this person called Amerigo Vespucci. So that was his name. Now, the whole of the Europe has become Christian. It was the Europe is a cradle of Christian civilization, from where the Christianity started. So all the Roman Catholic, so there was the cradle of Christianity, we all know that, and popes were European themselves. All of the Roman Catholic popes were 741 to till today from Europe, and Europe brought together many of the Christians' holy sites and heritage and religion centers in Europe. Now in Australia is also more than 90%, more than 50-60% is Christian. Also it started in Christian about 1788, like 300-400 years back. The native Australian people, I am forgetting the name of that tribe, which is the native Australian. But then by 1788 the Christianity arrived, and 50% of the Australia is now Christian and other 50% is rest. The world statistics about Christianity is like there are 2.5 billion people, the Christian in the world, and this is the number one religion, which is the highest number all over the world. In the 60 to 90% of USA, Canada, South America, Europe, Australia, South Africa, Russia, all this area is Christian. So this is the world statistics at this time. Now a little bit about the spread of Hinduism. As per Hinduism, there is no definite starting point, no founder, no single holy text in the history of Hinduism. The term Hinduism, as we know today, is a result of British attempt when they were trying to colonize the India. They gave this name Hinduism. Before that, there was a Hindu, that's fine. It was from the Indus Valley civilization, 3300 BC to 1300 BC. At that time, it was called Bronze Age. So I will talk about this Hinduism later, then I will explain you more about this, but this is just an area. Now from here, around 600 BC, Mahavir was the founder of Jainism. This is the offshoot from Hindu, which is called Jainism, is one of the world's oldest religion. This is one of the most oldest religion that is still practiced today. Then there is called Buddhism, that is the teaching of Gautam Buddha about 400 BC. So Jainism is before Buddhism, and both are offshoot of from the Hindu religion. As per the expansion of Hinduism, all I can say is that Hinduism was never believing in expansion of their own religion. There is only one exception, only one exception in Hinduism that who spread, and his name was Ashoka the Great from 268 to 232 BC. This is after the time period of Gautam Buddha. I will talk about this later in detail, what happened in Hinduism, but he started to expand the Buddhism because he appointed, I think, his sister and some other people to go in different parts of the world and spread the teaching of Buddha, but not with forced conversion or not anything. Only way they were doing is that non-violence and without any war. So just teaching their philosophy to the different part of the area of the world. That is the way the Buddhism spread in the world. Today, 6% of the world population is Buddhist in this world. So this is the statistics. Now, Judaism is the world's oldest monotheistic religion, dating back to 4,000 years. Jews believe that their Messiah has not come yet. It will come one day, and the six-pointed star that you see in the flag, that is the symbol of Jews symbol, and it is the pointed star of the David, they call it. Now, there is a big history of Jews being persecuted, and there are many things we can call. In 1066, in 10th century, the Grenada massacre happens. Grenada is a small, tiny country. Then there is a first crusade. Thousands of Jews were killed, and many were forced to convert to Christianity. After that, in 1492, there was a great Spanish expulsion that we know about that. And then in the modern time, the biggest of all, we have all heard about that, which is called Holocaust. That is in Germany, during the time of Second World War. It is well known that Hitler, Nazis party, Chancellor Hitler, he murdered more than 6 million Jews in Germany. So that is the biggest Holocaust. So what we can see is that Jews has a long history of persecution. So that was, at this time, I'm just talking about spread of this thing. And then Jews in India. The Judaism was one of the first foreign religion to arrive in India in the recorded history. So the Jews came first to India. The population at the time of British India, before 1948, I should say, roughly about 20,000 to 50,000 somewhere. But something happened during the time at 1948. A new country came into existence called Israel. And when the Israel got free and became a new country, Israel government opened the country for immigration. So anybody who is Jews, they can come back to Israel in a Jewish country. So most of the Jews from all over the world, they migrated to Israel at that time. After that, from 1948 onwards. So at this point, now, in the modern time, the Jewish community in India is not too many, only 5,000 people live at this time. So this was the expansion of most of the major religion, how they spread in the world and how they spread to the Indian subcontinent. So this is a synopsis. This is a idea that how the religion has been spreading and has spread. How it's going to spread from now onwards, it's a matter of speculation, because those traditional old ways of spreading of religion is not going to work now. You cannot have a holy war. Forget about the crusade, that's not going to happen. Holy war is not going to happen. One country cannot impose its own religious doctrine on some other country. That's not going to happen. So, what I can see personally, I can see that there's only few limited ways that the religion can spread. As I keep on telling everybody all the time, that because of modernization of the science and technology, everything is online. And all you have to do is to update your knowledge and go and do your research and find about any religion. Now, there is no pundit or no preacher from the church or no mullah from the masjid or from the Islam. They don't have to explain you what the religion is. All you have to do is to have a cell phone, smartphone, and search everything. You can see the whole Quran, you can see the whole Bible, everything you can see and understand yourself. So don't believe, just believe in yourself. Try to learn things as per your knowledge and move on. That's all I can say. So thank you very much for listening to me. Jai Shri Ram. Thank you very much.